I see the problem. Every day I get calls from people who are having trouble getting access to records. I deal with the ones from the Missouri Press Association members, but I get calls from private citizens who don't know where else to go, who can't get someone to respond to their inquiry, and they're just at a loss. They can't afford to litigate. They have no one to help them with their problem, and public bodies just simply stonewall them. I see it with the media being stonewalled, and I help them for free because of my association with the Press Association. But who helps private citizens when they have this problem? The only vehicle I have is to tell them to go online and file a complaint with the Attorney General's office or phone the Attorney General's office. I can't imagine the volume of calls and emails they get, and I know there's no way for them to handle them all. I remember back when Attorney General Koster took office, one of his staff members commented to me that they now had to hire 2.5 people to deal with this. They had no idea they were going to need that many people. So there is a real problem in the state with just a lack of compliance. I was really excited this week to see the lawsuit be filed down in Lebanon because I know the Lebanon paper had been complaining about that for more than a year on a weekly basis. That's what it took to get action. It's very common to find cases costing in the 5 figures, and a case that goes a long way could very easily be a 6-figure case, and that's not money that private citizens have. State government, county government, city government, school boards, all of those are entities that are having to make do with less. And so they tend to hang on to the programs they've got and continue to function in them. Some of those programs date back to the early 90s. And they are woefully inadequate for the technology that's available today. The conversion of that data is very, very difficult. You think on a personal level, when you go back and try to access files that are 5 years old, they're on 5-inch floppies, and you don't have the technology to deal with that today. That's the same thing that public bodies are facing. And that's one of the reasons why this is becoming a real critical issue. I do think that there are a lot of issues that come up in terms of cost. Cost is continuing to be an issue that we have trouble getting state governments, say, to recognize how to deal with. But, you know, I understand that everybody's under budget constraints. And so I understand why the issue is there, but I think it's being used as a problem with this. It's being used as a mechanism to prevent access to records, and that bothers me. There is an Office of Public Counsel in the let me cut here, folks. Let me think a minute. It's oh gosh,
Office
what
of
is it?
Administration?
No, it's the utilities.
Oh,
Yeah, public service. Okay, there's an Office of Public Counsel in the Public Service Commission that represents the public's interest in rate setting. And that office is funded through the utility fees that you pay. That is exactly what we need in the state of Missouri for sunshine law issues. We need someone representing the public's interest in this. Frankly, while the Attorney General serves that role to some degree, they've got a conflict of interest because when my dispute is with the Department of Revenue, say, or any other state agency, they're the ones that are defending the state agency. They're not there to defend my interest against that state agency. We need private counsel to represent the public's interest in this. And of course the problem is, where does the money come to pay for it? People pay sunshine fees when they violate the law, theoretically. I don't see a lot of them collected, but if there was more teeth in the law, or if state government really believed in the sunshine law, they would find a way to fund this kind of an office. A few years ago, we did a survey, and there were about 30 states that have that kind of an office, that kind of a function in state government, or something similar to that. And we don't have it in Missouri, and I think we desperately need it. It was the Western District Court of Appeals, and the case, I just saw it last night, I used it, was Polk versus Missouri Department of Revenue, and it was in 2010, so it's not been that long ago. The Polk asked for all the driver's license records in the state of Missouri and wanted them computerized.
Does that just include people's names and addresses and who's licensed, or what else is in there?
It includes their record as to accidents.
Oh.
You know, if you have an accident, you get points on your license, and insurance companies need that to rate you for insurance. If you are a bad driver, they're going to ding you for your insurance, and so that's a critical public record for them, and that's why it's there. You know, that they're going to take your license away from you. The state is, if you're a bad driver. So it's an important state function, but it benefits all of us too. For people who have bad records to not be able to drive. If they don't have insurance, they shouldn't be able to drive. Anyway, originally the state came back with like a number that was so many dollars a record, and that was kicked out. So then they came back with this 3 cents a record, and even then the Court of Appeals said, no, that's too high. You clearly are adding things in here because you had itemized what you added in here, and it's stuff that you can't add in here. So it's, you know, that's how the case was decided, and it is an important case for those of us who deal with electronic records.